do, 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 do. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Can y'all see my soulful strut? Da 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 da. Psst. Da 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 da. Pow. Yeah. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Psst. Da 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 da. Doom 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 doom. Now, what's up, family? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Shout out to all my newcomers, all my old family members. Y'all, thank you, and I welcome you to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadija. I want to give a shout out to Tracy, give a shout out to Tommy. Let me give a shout out. These are some of my homies I ain't heard from in a minute. Um, Want to give a shout out to Adonis. I want to give a shout out to Janice. Let me give a shout out to Rita. Let me give a shout out to Red. Let me. I'm just saying hello to all of y'all. But if I'm Maddie, if I missed anybody, charge it to my head and not my heart. I hope y'all all have had a good weekend. I've had a wonderful weekend. I've had a chance to keep deconstructing my mental illness, especially in a crazy society. Every day, I think we have to take some time to deconstruct white supremacy and deconstruct self-hatred, deconstruct family issues. And I think I've been doing a good job of that. And I hope y'all are doing the same, because we're going to need to be pretty clear and have all hands on deck as you see we having to navigate through some really, really unfamiliar territory, right? So keep it up, family. Keep up the good work. Make it real. Make it count, because you never know when you're going to need it. And not only that, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, right? Okay, I want to play something for y'all right now, and I hope you get something from it, as I have. I think it's real important that we listen to what's happening, be able to do like Jesus said, read the signs of the time, know what time you in, and move accordingly, right? Okay, here we go. Here's a good explanation of what I mean.
You don't like being called racist in here. You hate when we use the word racist. You hate being attacked. You hate when we bring up race and everything. But then when we have an opportunity to show that we're not racist, you let me down every time. Every time. And I sit here and we talk about our families, we talk about our kids, we go on trips together, and then we talk about not funding state, not using our state dollars to go to white supremacy programs, and then we table it. You want to talk about some stuff? Let's talk about how they just took almost $7 million from the College of Charleston because they want to help black kids. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about all right now to defund all the black programs that are going across the state. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about AP African American Studies that was banned from this state. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the attacks that you got going on people who don't look like you. Let's talk about it. Why do we continuously do this to our kids? Why? What is it that you're doing? What are you showing your kids? That public funds can go to white supremacy programs? We just had an issue at USC where all those kids felt scared. Matter of fact, we just had the picture from on our steps last week. What are we doing here? Tell me what we're doing. Don't try to explain to me, well, I thought it was this, or no, it's that. No, Jermaine, we want to see equality. We give you an opportunity every single time. And here we go again. I was in the back, I was ready to go just like y'all are. But here we go. Every single time you get an opportunity to show us something different, you show us who you are.
Now, 100%, it's going to have to come from people who look like me. Because people who look like me determine who gets to control the social dynamic. Like, you can't ask a woman to do something about the existing social dynamic because the people who were in charge don't give a shit about her opinion. She's a woman. You can't ask black or brown people to do anything about the social dynamic because the people who were in charge don't even recognize their fucking humanity. The only time that any criticism of the current order of things matters is whenever it comes from people who look like me. In 1865, right after the Civil War, Mississippi had a vagrancy law whenever they were trying to redefine slavery. They crafted a vagrancy law that said that that if you were found a vagrant, that you could be punished up to $50 fine and 10 days in jail. But in that same provision, Section 2, there is a spot that says if you're white and you're caught engaging with black people, or specifically even treating black people like they're equal, that could be punished by up to $200 fine and up to 6 months in jail.
You see that?
This is because
You see that? Did you hear that? All you modern day white folk. Are you observing how we got here? Are you seeing how we got here? Because you always say that you're not responsible for what your ancestors did. And you are absolutely right. I agree. But you are responsible for taking advantage of the bullshit that they did and not using your skills and your intelligence to dismantle this wicked ass system that you are benefiting from. Black people are powerless to break this system down. We know how to hold our own, okay? And we are vehemently opposed to the system that we're having to operate up under. Trust you me. Because you just continue to make it harder and harder and harder. But that is by no means an excuse for you to think that we like this shit or we going to continue to suffer under this shit. But really, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to fix what your crazy ass ancestors did. However unfortunate and unfair it is for them to put all this on y'all, they didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck how y'all was going to dismantle all this craziness that they constructed and created. You should be ashamed of what they constructed and created. Not just be glad to take advantage of it. Let's go.
black person didn't choose to be black. You're making a choice to go against the social order. You know how we do things around here, and you're going out of your way to do shit your way. And you can argue, I'm doing things the right way. Yeah, we don't do the right thing around here. Well, technically, it's not illegal. I determine what's legal and what's not. And that's something y'all need to understand about the South. Now that y'all are all the South, y'all need to understand the lawlessness that you're dealing with. Everything that the southern states did with the black codes, with Jim Crow, all of that was directly illegal. It was in direct opposition with the 14th, 15th Amendments, like 13th Amendments. They don't care what the law is. You're not going to be able to legislate the South into doing the right thing. And whenever you look at MAGA, what you're looking at is neo-Confederates. You're looking at the old patriarchal South trying to craft an identity around that, a political identity around that. Those people can only be handled with, like, if you're capable of meeting them at the violence that they're comfortable with, or at least that they believe they're comfortable with. Is something that I need to really drive home to leftists. I need y'all to get comfortable with combat. Because if you're not, then you run into the situation that I ran into. Either you catch this, 50-year-old dude who's been in a couple scraps, and he's like, you can either shut up or you can go away. Well, I'm not going to do either. And if you want to fight about it, we can fight about it, especially if you're like me. Because whenever I say that you need to be prepared to do violence or meet violence, it's not so much that I just walk around here punching racists, or like I hear someone saying some racist shit and I go assault them. No, it's more about I want to impugn capitalism and imperialism, and people around me don't like that, especially if they're of a certain age, because a lot of these people have been allowed to develop apolitically, where, I'm not really political. Not conscious of the fact that that's not really a liberty that me and my generation and people younger than me have. We don't have the luxury of not being into politics, but a lot of them are, and they don't like hearing it out in public. They don't like all of the things that come along with it. And then my response is, I don't give a fuck what you like. I'm going to talk about this shit regardless. And there ain't shit you can do about it. And whenever you bring that energy to people, there's a chance that it can escalate to violence, which is fine. Meet them there if that's what it comes to. But you're going to need to be able to do that if you're going to continue to control the social dynamic, if you're going to control the social forum and determine what gets talked about and how it gets talked about. Because they will try to overtalk you. They will just talk down to you, talk reckless. And if you can't do anything about it, you allow them to control the social dynamic. These worthless garbage, the children of the most depraved people who have ever walked the planet, dog. Like, you're going to have to, like, you're the enlightened one, you're going to have to go fight for what you know is right. And until white dudes who look like me really be making the energy weird as fuck out in public, really be making people take a side, then they're going to get to keep being casually racist in public. They're going to be able to keep making people uncomfortable. They're going to be able to intimidate people into silence whenever they're talking about shit that we need to talk about. Like, I don't want to hear about that shit. I don't give a fuck. The world's falling apart. You want to go about your business, go on working like nothing's happening. No, dog. You're indifferent to all of the shit that's happening. I'm indifferent to your fucking comfort. Plain as that. But again, to get where I'm at, you have to put in some work. Go, train, get in some combat situations, get punched in the face. You're not going to die. I promise. You will be able to keep fighting. You will be able to win. As always, bro. I appreciate y'all taking the time. Much love.
When white people come up in my comments upset with me talking about race and talking about the state of racism in this country and white supremacy, aka white delusion, whenever they get upset, I always want to tell them, and I should tell them, I just don't be having time, but I always want to tell them, y'all, you're not mad at black folk. You're mad at your parents and your grandparents and your great-great-great-great-grandparents all the way down to the founding fathers. You're mad at them because they didn't care enough about you to do the work and clean up the mess that they created through the genocide of the indigenous people here, through the attempted enslavement of the indigenous people here, and the actual enslavement, human trafficking, labor trafficking, and sex trafficking of Africans to this country and to this hemisphere and all over the globe. You're not mad at us. You're mad at them. because they haven't cleaned up that mess, and they didn't care to clean up that mess because they were willing to enjoy their white privilege at the expense of future generations. And guess who those future generations are? It's you, Bookie. It's you. It's you today in 2025.
One last thing I need to say is, black people, you need to prepare yourself. I'm talking about mentally, physically, and spiritually. What we're seeing right now with this dictatorship is going to hurt black and brown communities the most. And right now, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of white nationalist organizations that have been training for years for this particular moment. They really believe something is going to pop off, and they are ready. They are raising an army. What I need my people to do is be just as ready. I don't know if you have to start getting in martial arts. I don't know if you need to start losing weight, but you need to make sure that you are physically, mentally, and spiritually ready for what's about to happen. I would say if you can get into any taekwondo classes, jiu-jitsu, if you need to train for firearms, if you need to train in combat, you need to do it, or pay for your children to do it, or something, because what's going to be coming, if you are not prepared, you are going to be affected the most.
Okay. I don't know, family. I don't know. What y'all think? What you think about what you hearing, family? Let me give you one more just to solidify it.
Is a broad scope, right? Because you can be racist towards a Latina, you could be racist towards a black person, you can be racist towards a Middle Eastern person. So we're going to speak on anti-blackness.
That's
a lot
prejudice.
Of black people think that they hate anti-blackness, but I'm not too sure that you do. Because a lot of us feel comfortable participating in that system still. We think because we can acknowledge that it exists, that that's all that's necessary. But reality states that a lot of us refuse to deconstruct the inherent anti-blackness that a lot of us have, because it's a system that we all grew up in. And then that guides our choices. And while we think that we're using common sense or rationale, we're only honestly using white logic. And that's...
Here's how to tap into Amazon's billion...
I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know how YouTube is, and with these damn commercials that are just all over the damn place, getting on your damn nerves. But let's go here. Let me finish this.
Because it's an entire system, as we know, right, to disenfranchise black people. So unless we're going to get rid of all the white people, we technically don't have really the power to dismantle that system, because it would require white people to dismantle that system, which they're not going to do because they are incentivized to be anti-black. But what we can do is stop participating in that shit. And that is a lot of power once we stop participating in that. And that's why I say y'all are problematic as fuck. Because that alone, not participating in, acknowledging your inherited anti-blackness, deconstructing it, and then not participating in it in your everyday regular lives, it's like an act of rebellion that a lot of you are not prepared to do. For example, a lot of you grow up in the hood believing that the best opportunity to make it out of the hood is to be some type of musical artist and or athlete. That is anti-black as fuck. White people will make you believe that your athletic abilities and or stereotyping yourself to be a degenerate or to look like a degenerate for the music industry, which is not truly the basis of your hip-hop, the basis of your music and your culture, is the only way for you to be successful, because you're not smart enough to believe that. Says who? So a lot of you grow up acting as if you can't participate to the book, can't participate to your education, and you can't commit to it because it's just not going to get you far. Says who? Says them. Okay. Same with my ladies, wigs and weaves. Now, wigs and weaves are technically a part of our culture in a certain type of way, but it becomes a problem when we use it, for the ones that use it as an everyday tool, because we believe that our hair is too difficult. Your hair is not difficult, your hair is different. And if you weren't sitting there trying to get your hair to behave in the likes of other people, you would not have a problem maintaining and sustaining your beautiful hair. So like I said, versatility is one thing. Expressing yourself in artwork, the amazing styles that we have done with it, we cultivated, we curated, we made it popular and stuff like that. That is great. Tracks and all this other stuff, that is a part of our culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is a form of expression. But you yourself, black women, are the exoticness that they try to pass on to other people. You are the only one black woman that has the level of different hair and features and the complexity of skin tones, because you technically are the exotic one. You were never made to fit in. And when you sit there and try to perpetuate every single day life with it on because you wanted your hair to assimilate to something that it's not supposed to be, or you want to assimilate to a look that's not supposed to be because you think that it is more kept, or you want to be soft and you think that's the better look to go, that is where it's problematic. That is your anti-blackness. Your look is not problematic. Your hair is not problematic. Everything is different because you are exotic. For those of us that think that when we get some money and we're going to move up out of the hood and we're going to put ourselves and our children in predominantly Caucasian spaces, why would you do that? Because they made you think through a Hollywood depiction that the hood entirely is nothing but an episode or, what would you say? A shot out of, Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood. A lot of us grew up in the hood and never lived in the projects a day in our lives. A lot of us grew up in predominantly black neighborhoods, middle-class people. And we just made better choices in the street because we did not want to end down a certain path. There are people in all flights of communities that are going to make poor decisions and choices. But you think that the Caucasian community is better for your children because some of the poor decisions that they use are not entitled to carrying a pistol on their hip. But they make poor decisions that unalive themselves every single day because they have an allegiance to rugs and alcohol. And the funny thing is that in their Hollywood depictions of their communities, they tell us that. The girls are getting essayed and raped. The kids are having farm parties with all types of pills. The opioid crisis is still in existence. Fentanyl is now running through their communities like nothing because they're lacing.
I'm sorry. I had to interrupt right here just for a second. I want y'all to hear what she's saying. Because I had a lot of black students tell me, we out here in these white schools because our parents sent us here thinking that we are going to be better and properly educated because they're offering resources and curriculum that we don't experience in our neighborhoods or in our schools. She said, but all of them alcoholics, all of them drunks. They sit around the school and have bonfires and drink alcohol and pass them around. And they're like high school alcoholics already, and they only a freshman.
Situations. The children are hooked on alcoholic beverages from the time the early ages of junior high school. They're getting DUIs, driving and unaliving each other, drowning and stuff like that because of such being under alcohol influence. They have lack of supervision and they're always stressed out because they're actually not that smart. Yet you think that putting your child in predominantly white schools is going to give them a better education. How? Do we not have the same white educators in our neighborhoods, unfortunately, because they are predominantly most educators in the entire country that they do in theirs? What's the difference? Now, they may have more resources because the funding may go there, so you have more access to amenities. And I got that from Grits and Eggs podcast, episode 54, I believe, where he's absolutely correct, which made me think about this. But that doesn't mean that your child is benefiting in any type of way. You are putting your child through a mental torture and even possibly a physical torture because you are teaching your child that it is okay to be isolated and viciously attacked consistently. And that if they want to stop the vicious attack, is to accept them. Our children are physically harmed when they think that they are friends with these people. They come up missing. Your children get hooked into an area in life that is unnecessary, but you think that you're doing the best thing for you're doing, but you made it out of the hood, so what was the difference? I grew up in El Barrio, Harlem, New York. They got a book on my neighborhood. I never lived in a project building a day in my life. I lived in a gated community, a gated condominium buildings that went from one block to another block, from one avenue to another avenue, surrounded by a gate that needed a passcode and a key, that had a park, a community room, and a garage and laundry rooms attachments in the community. In that small gated block of community. What's the problem? Tenement buildings. Project buildings wasn't the only one. But yes, there is a scarcity mindset because the hood is constructed and making us impoverished down here. But that doesn't mean majority of us are choosing or making the choices to live a life of crime. So it's just like, what makes you think that? You say, oh, I have a lot of money, that's why I had to move out of the hood because I put myself at risk as being a target. Rich people are targeted every single day. First of all, a lot of you are not in the 1%. So you're moving into those suburbs anyway, and you're not still living that life. But really what it is that you know that white people see that if you live in these certain neighborhoods and you can afford these certain areas, that means you're of status. That means you're somebody important. That means you're still looking for white validation. Why does it matter? We got one percenters, athletes, celebrities, well-known names, places that are robbed every single day, and they are miles and miles away from civilization. How does that happen? They too are under lock and key, gated and guarded communities. And you think that you don't have the ability to get attacked, assaulted, or robbed and stuff like that in those communities as well? Make it make sense. You think that you're teaching your child how the real world is going to work, and if she's never put around in those spaces, or he or she's never put in those spaces with them Caucasian people, that they're not going to know how to operate. They're not going to know the proper mannerisms of how to deal with them. But since when? Again, that's anti-black. Because what makes you think that you're not learning proper mannerisms in the communities that you grew up in? What makes you think that we don't have any run-ins and we don't realize how to work with them? Because if we're not dealing with them as our educators, they're in our communities as law enforcement, they're our jobs and our bosses, and we teach our children based off of what we know because we have to survive. So what makes you think it is necessary to commit your child to that level of mental instability and torture and isolation and discrimination and target practice on them? It makes no sense, but we refuse to deconstruct our inherent anti-blackness every single day. And you think that you have a problem with it when actually you're...
This is
Thank you, Naya Sin. I like to thank Naya Sin for that. Actually, a compilation of other creators. But I think that it's a very good variety of thoughts coming from white as well as black people that are just tired of this race game. It has to be demolished, it has to be broken down, and it has to be replaced with a system of justice. It's just imperative. We can't continue. These people that are in the White House right now are just a bunch of white supremacists. You can make it sound nice and say, well, they're the Republican Party. No, actually, they've distinguished themselves from the Republican Party. They're MAGA. They're white nationalists. They're people that are Nazis. They are people who think that Hitler was a good dude. And what he did in Germany was a good thing. I'm sure that's what they think because I see them parading the flags all the time. Anybody in a sane and that is sane and rational know that is a horrible and diabolical thought. And that you were taught and you were shown growing up in your life, whether you had black history or not, you saw what happened in Germany and what Hitler was doing in the rise of fascism in Germany. You saw it. And you wondered how those the population could allow Hitler to put all those innocent people in ovens just because of the color of their skin or the religion that they practice. How in the hell can you not see that right now going on in our country? Because you know when Hitler did that, all those scientists, all those people who constructed all that madness, you know where they ran away to, don't you? When the fall of Germany was imminent, they came to America. They here. They were here back then. That's why every once in a while somebody will get caught and they say, oh, we found them in Florida, or we found them in Michigan, or we found... You know damn well they've been here. You been know they've been here because they escaped when they left Germany, running from that whole empire crashing. Their asses ran right over here. And we welcomed them with open arms so we could regurgitate that madness, that racism, that philosophy of one race thinking that is better than the other one just by virtue of their skin. And Hitler's stilo was blonde hair, blue eyes. I mean, it's all so insidious. And anybody who practiced something like that is crazy as fuck. So it is going to be a time, and the time is here. It ain't going, it's going to be, I'm sorry, I take that back. The time is here for you to pick a side. The Bible said you can't, there is no lukewarm. For all you, my fellow Christians out there. You either hot or you cold. Okay? Because all that stuff in the middle, it ain't working for us no more. It never worked in the first place. And that's how we got here. By not telling the truth, not being transparent, and not dealing with the hurt of whatever those truths are. I hope y'all understand this video and the spirit and manner of it. And I would like for you to please leave your comment below. And if you like what you hear, like, subscribe, and share. Please like. I'm begging for likes. So like, subscribe, and share. Okay? So make my channel have a better chance to keep just hanging around in the algorithms. Thank you. And y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day.